Today I want to give you a brief introduction of human and dog interaction from a behavioral and perceptual aspect. First, I will talk about one way that dogs understand humans, and then I will talk about a lesser known way that humans understand dogs. But before we talk about any of that, I'm going to give you a little bit of history that will help us to piece together what I'll be talking about. In the past, most dogs were bred for a certain purpose. Whether that was for hunting, pulling sleds, or herding sheep, they all had to learn how to understand what we as humans wanted them to do for us. And over the course of their domestication, they have become incredibly good at doing just that. Archaeological and genetic evidence suggests that dogs have been domesticated for tens of thousands of years, and this has given them a long time to study human behavior and to become proficient at deciphering human behavior. Throughout this time of living side by side with dogs, humans have also become very good at understanding their canine counterparts, but I will talk more about that a little bit later. First, I'm going to discuss how dogs understand human gestures. This is one skill that is important for any type of working dog. For example, in hunting, it helps the dog to know where the birds have fallen. In sled dogs, it is important for directional cues. And for herding dogs, it can be used to tell the dog which way to turn the herd. Because so many dogs nowadays are kept as pets, these keen observational skills are now being used in more recreational ways, such as in dog sports like agility, which I will be using for my examples. So, how well do dogs understand human gestures? Well, a study done in Hungary found that dogs understand human pointing exponentially better than non-human primates, who, from a genetic and evolutionary standpoint, are much closer related to us than canines. This study also showed that dogs understand a wide range of human pointing. To better understand what that means, let's watch a few examples. In this first example, you can see that as the dog goes over the jump, the handler starts to extend her arm in front of her body, indicating that the dog should enter the tunnel. You can also see that because the dog understands this and is committed to going into the tunnel, the handler is then able to pull away from the dog before he even enters the tunnel and then get ahead of him, which is something she would not have been able to do if she had run right next to him. The next example shows a similar situation, but instead of extending her arm forward from her body, the handler will cross her arm in front of her body to indicate that the dog should enter the tunnel. We can see in this example that the dog reads this cross-pointing signal just as well as he did the forward motion signal in the first clip. Before we watch the next clip, it is interesting to note that although most dogs were bred for a particular purpose that would make it useful for them to understand human gestures, the dog in the next clip is from a breed that was not bred for any useful purpose. This breed was actually bred for Chinese royalty, and they were exclusively lap dogs, and yet this dog still has no problem understanding his handler's gestures. In this clip, the handler will extend his arm out from the side of his body, indicating that the dog should move away from him to take the next obstacle. As we watch, we can see that after the dog takes the first jump, the handler throws his arm out as far as he can from the side of his body, and as he does this, the distance between he and his dog increases. These three examples have all been quite large gestures, but for the last example, we will look at a very subtle gesture. In this clip, you will first see a dog going through a tunnel. After this, you'll need to pay particular attention to the handler, who will be facing you. His right arm will be extended out to indicate which obstacle the dog should take next, but his left forearm will subtly be moving up and down over his midsection to tell the dog that he should be turning left as he goes over the obstacle. You can tell that the dog has picked up on this gesture because as the dog goes over the obstacle, his head turns left, even though the handler's momentum continues forward until the dog has already started going over the jump. And as he lands, he shifts his momentum so that he can continue turning left. For these dogs, being able to understand their handler's gestures is useful for getting through the obstacle course in the correct sequence while maintaining their speed, but where this skill is really practical is for working dogs, such as dogs herding sheep who may be herding a few hundred feet from their handler and still need to be able to decipher between similar gestures that tell the dog to do very different things. Now I'm going to move on to how humans understand dogs. Just like there are many ways that dogs understand humans other than gestures, there are also many ways that humans understand dogs. But today I'm going to be talking about a way that you may not be aware of. The same researchers in Hungary that studied how dogs understand human gestures also did a study about how humans understand dog barks in different situations. When they did this, they found that all people Dog experts, dog owners, and people who had no experience with dogs could determine what situation a dog was in based only on their bark with about the same accuracy. This means that even if you have never had a dog or never had any experience around dogs, you can still understand the underlying emotions in a dog's bark and use that to determine what situation the dog is in, given a list of options. To give you a better understanding about how this works, let's do a few examples. I will play an audio clip and give you 3 choices of situations that the dog may be in. All you have to do is pick which one you think the dog is in. First, I will play all 3 of them so you can hear all of them before you have to make your decision. Then I will play each one on its own and have you decide which one you think fits each situation. After telling you the correct answer, I will show a short video clip of the dog in context of the situation. The 3 situations will be a dog barking at a toy, a dog barking at a stranger at the door, or a dog barking at another dog while they're playing. For consistency, all of the barks will come from the same dog. Okay, so now it's time to make your decision. Here's the first clip again. The correct answer is C. Here's the second clip again. The correct answer is A. Do you want the ball? Here's the third clip again. The correct answer is B. This was a very simplified version of the study, but as you can tell, the barks had a unique sound depending on what situation the dog was in. This phenomenon is very interesting because people with no experience with dogs seem to be able to classify barks just as well as people with a lot of experience with dogs. But also because most people are not able to classify the vocalizations of another common pet, cats, which have also been domesticated for thousands of years. Well, I hope you found this entertaining. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you remember that dogs understand you better than you know, and you probably understand them better than you think you do.